Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Supergirl. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Obviously, this is the aftermath after, Kara and the team have returned from the Phantom Zone. I love the whole thing with Brainy just so stylishly avoiding people trying not to mess up the cake. My favorite part was just him ducking into the taxi and coming out the other side of it like that. But I also love it's right, Kara's not even here, so why was I told to hurry that it was time of the essence? And then Lena kind of gives Nia a look and she's like, because we thought you were going to eat the coke. He was like, what? You thought I'd eat the cake? What do you think? I'm some kind of monster? I get it. It's they were worried because he was eating his feelings away. But I think with all of that, he's kind of dealt with that. I mean, at least we know. I don't know. Maybe that's still kind of an issue, but now that Kara's back and everything's okay, it's everyone kind of dealing with it in their own right, because obviously everyone's excited and happy to have her back, but you have Nia and Lena, this whole situation with Kara having her dad back, it is kind of sad. It's oh man, you got your parents back. Your cousin's not so lucky. Lena doesn't have her mom. Nia is just a constant reminder of her mom being gone too, so obviously, Kara's not thinking about it, obviously, but it's still, it's right, they're happy for her, but it's still kind of right, it's just a reminder of what you don't have anymore. But Kara's going through her own struggles because she's suffering basically from PTSD with the whole Phantom Zone situation. And it's understandable, especially when she kind of breaks it down later on. It's it's a place that's so cold, and the fact is that she was alone for so long, especially because Kara's never been alone like that for, facing something like that alone for such a long period of time. She's always had someone by her side. Plus, it's a place where she didn't have her powers, so it's she felt powerless on many different regards, not having the people, her family, her friends that she trusts around her, but also literally not having her powers. But also it's understandable considering it's a place, the Phantoms itself, it's a place, the zone is just meant to be a place of solitude and seclusion anyway, but then you add on top of that, you're dealing with creatures that literally feed off of your fear and drown you in it. It's understandable. That she is, the problem is Kara tries to just kind of speed ahead, just kind of right, I'm just going to keep going, try to jump back into my life, obviously introduce her dad to her life and just show him everything that, it's all about. Obviously he's getting adjusted to his abilities and everything, and going to Catco, and it's cool. Nia's lie about what Kara's been up to, she's yeah, that interview didn't work out. These are, the story that she was making that was made up. It's right, they want to keep, they suddenly were yeah, we're not going to, if anything's put on the record, we're just going to deny. It's nice way to cover up. Sadly though, when she does come back, it's there's no her and William thing, because it's oh, let's go for coffee, but he's yeah, I'm with someone now, Mary, but I'm oh, that's kind of a shame, just how much it's kind of changed while you were gone. She's I'm sorry I lied to you. He's no, I get it, when we first met I was undercover, so I understand better than anyone. She's of course she would. But I do appreciate that the fact is, Andrea's right, we need to kind of get some good news out there. We got to pump out some news because we're number 8 on the top national places. Number 4 was the Central City Citizen, and I was yo, go Iris, that's awesome. I think number 3 was the Gotham Gazette, which I'm trying to think of Batwoman. Has it ever come up? Because I doubt it's a Vicky Vale working there or anything like that. I'm just trying. I think stuff from the Gazette has come up, but I don't know if we know anyone specifically from the Gazette. But there's that. Also, number 1 is Daily Planet, which I normally be, oh yeah, but it's no, Lois and Clark don't work at the Daily Planet anymore, so boo, Daily Planet. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. There's also the Daily Star. I'm what the hell is the Daily Star? It's oh, that's interesting. But there's also Star City. They have one. I was blinking on the name, but I just focused on the Citizens number 4. That's awesome. Go, like I said, congratulations to Iris and Allegra on that. That's pretty dope. But nevertheless, Andrea wants to be number 1. Obviously, Kara brings her a story because her and her dad dealt with a satellite. It's cool, let's do this. It's like him kind of enjoying the benefits of the power and everything, and he ends up freezing like a pile of garbage out in the sea that caught on fire. Specifically, it's stuff from the DEO that Lex just dumped in the ocean, but he won't get any trouble for it because he got a third party to do it. Plus, they found a loophole that makes it so that they can do it government without the government breathing down their necks for it. So they were able to legally do it. William brought that to Andrea, but she's like, no, I still want to tie it to Lex, but they can't. It is regardless of anything, it's shady, it sucks, but it is all above board. So Andrea ends up using the coin, which is right, that's always still going to be in her back pocket, that she has that no one else is still aware that she has that post-crisis and everything. But she snuck into Lex's manor, but she found all these profiles. It's a good thing he doesn't have information being like, oh, Supergirl, aka Kara Zor-El, aka Kara Danvers. Luckily that wasn't there, because it's I got all this information, fingerprints and all that, but that's actually what Andrea is kind of thinking, right, Catco is the one that kind of put Supergirl out there in the first place, so why don't we take advantage of that and let that be our bread and butter, heroes, the other heroes that work with her, like Martian Manhunter or Sentinel, Alex. And so it's let's put them be our forefront, and she's giving this story to William, which is definitely going to be interesting, because eventually it must lead to him, because it's okay, you're going to keep an eye on them and tracking them down. He's okay, we're only human, so how am I going to be tracking down superheroes, knowing what they're doing every moment all the time? So it's you'll figure it out, you're an ace reporter. So that's interesting, but I guess that's going to be potentially how William finds out about Kara's secret, maybe, that he's going to stumble across that. I mean, to be fair, it's not like Alex has the best disguise, but I guess it's once again, it's I guess it's no different from the Supergirl and Clark, Superman thing of right, all you're doing is wearing a glasses. It's only different. So, which I love that's the Kryptonian way, because that's all she did for her dad, was just all she did for Zor-El was just kind of give him glasses. That's just the Kryptonian tradition. But I think it also stems from I think because the glasses do legitimately help, so they're, especially with him getting his powers all at once, he didn't have the process like Kara and Clark did, of right, having everything come to you slowly and then slowly unveiling what you're doing, everything you're capable of hitting you all at once. Because I think the glasses are specifically designed so they're supposed to dampen your X-ray vision. I think it's supposed to dampen that. I think that's so it's not just style purposes, it does, I think, serve an actual function as well. I feel like they referenced that in Supergirl, or am I just making that up? I swear that was the thing in Supergirl. I feel like when you don't watch something for so long, you're am I making it up? It's I've watched this stuff for 6 seasons, and I feel I remember that, but I don't know if that's just me being stupid or crazy, or is that some other Kryptonian canon I'm pulling that from. I don't know. I don't think they ever come up in Superman and Lois either. Regardless, tangents and all that aside, Kara did want to do a story about all of that. And Andrea was excited about it because the whole garbage thing, because it was tied to Lex, but she gave it to William. She wants Kara to write the story on the Phantoms because, hey, you're pretty tight with Supergirl. Supergirl and her friend, her friends mainly, because Supergirl was kind of absent, dealt with the Phantom attack, which is wait, there was a Phantom attack? Because it's Nia didn't tell her, none of them did, because Alex was we didn't want to kind of overwhelm you, plus it was all in the past. But how did the Phantom... Well, it's kind of our fault, considering we kind of did it in our first attempt to save you, but it's Kara's it's okay, like you said, it is the past, because she didn't even want to dive into that conversation too much, because I don't want anything to do with the Phantoms, I don't want to even keep up this conversation, so let's just move past it, because rather than kind of dealing with things, she's kind of been avoiding it. And immediately during all this, especially when she was doing a report, get interviews from the people that were turning the Phantoms and stuff, I was it's very similar to Iris at the beginning of early this past season of The Flash, season 7, because she had to do kind of a very similar thing, dealing with her own PTSD after being in the Mirrorverse for so long, and also these other people that were kidnapped and replaced, and being able to see right, here's this mirror doppelganger of me living my life with the people I care and love, not knowing the difference. So like, it's kind of a very similar thing, because she even references it at the end of the episode, references what Iris did, and she's like, right, like, what Iris did, I kind of want to do a similar thing, because for her and Alex, it's like, this is their way to kind of push through everything. Because, Alex seeing Kara hurt this episode triggered, like, right, when they were trying to rescue her, and, like, she had given up. And, even thinking back to when Kara went toe-to-toe with the, I think that was during her fight with the Red Daughter. She almost died, and that scared Alex, because I think it is a thing of, you think like, no, you're my sister, you're Supergirl, like, you'll never come close to death. And it's like, to think that, especially because it's like, right, my sister's in the Phantom Zone, I don't know what condition she's in, she could end up dying all alone, like, that fear overtook her. So both of them have, like, it's like, let's be there for each other, let's heal, like, because Alex thought, like, by just not really dealing with anything, just kind of like just ignoring it, she thought she was doing what was best for Kara, because that's what Kara wanted. She's like, this is what Kara needs. But it's like, right, we both have to push our way through it. Like, handling things the way we've been handling it isn't the best way of dealing with it. So, and on top of all of that, there is a whole situation with Kara's dad trying to help Earth because of, like, the whole trash in the ocean thing. It's like, right, your oceans, like, he's stuff like this, and that's something we've never really dived into, like, all, like, because it doesn't seem like it's just one thing. There were many contributing factors, apparently, that led to Krypton getting destroyed. Once again, that in itself varies from continuity to continuity, because it changes all the time, because some continuities, it was Brainiac the reason why they exploded. Other things like this seem like it's leaning more towards, like, no, it's part of, like, an environmental thing, because he brings up the fact is that these were key signs early on, like, that was, like, once you notice these things, it's already too late. Because you reach a certain point of no return. So, Zor-El wants to help with the whole situation. He wants to be able to, where he failed with Krypton, he thinks he can succeed with Earth, like, because Earth is kind of going through the same process that Krypton did. But, Kara's like, yeah, but still, it's a very complicated issue, which in some cases it shouldn't be, but it's understandable in certain cases why. So she ends up taking him to the Fortress of Solitude, which even that's a trigger for her, because it's like, right, this is where I got sent to the Phantom Zone, so just constant reminders, because I guess she didn't think, like, it would be that big of a deal coming back, And I thought it was interesting where she was like, yeah, Kal-El was trying to get me to come here early on, but I just couldn't, because it would have been a constant reminder of what she had lost, which her father's like, I totally understand that, because it's like, right, this is all that is left of Krypton. Obviously, looking at the robot that kind of runs things in the fortress, Zor-El got an idea, so he adds some Kaluan technology to it and turns him into Oscar. And it's like, oh, I love John being like, is it an acronym? He's like, oh no, it's after the green guy in the trash can. I'm like, Oscar the Grouch? It's like, yeah, he binged Sesame Street, and it's like, it's a good understanding of Earth culture. And I'm like, honestly, that actually makes sense. Like, because you being new to this planet would be like a newborn. So it's like Sesame Street is the perfect level of education to kind of learn about Earth and life and everything. It's like, but I also think it's kind of sweet, because it's like, it is a thing of like, yeah, it's not just something for kids. Like, there's lessons you can still learn from Sesame Street to apply into your adulthood and stuff like that. I don't know. It's actually really sweet and interesting to think about that. Cause also that like falls under like I was about to say, does that fall under Warner Brothers? I think it does. I think Sesame Street falls under Warner Brothers. I think they own that. I think, because like I know there's like an Elmo thing on like HBO Max or HBO, like, so yeah, and Sesame Street is on that, right? So like that is under the Warner Brothers property. Once again, it's always interesting knowing who owns what, because obviously like it's like, oh, like Carl's early in an episode, and like, I don't think I can even watch an episode of Scooby Doo, and I'm like, yeah, because that's under the Warner Brother banner as well. Regardless, I'm sure a lot of that stuff you can just, like I said, I just get so caught up in wondering, like, man, are you able to just casually mention stuff like that because you're under the same umbrella? Like, if you weren't, would that be an issue? Probably not. Like, you're just referencing something. I'm probably showing it would be a different case, but that's always been something I've always wondered about. I still haven't looked into, and I should. But yeah, the whole point is that Oscar can now turn garbage into energy. He can shrink it and then absorb the energy. But that goes sideways when he goes to clean up garbage and then turns into a giant, almost trash-like kaiju. And obviously the whole point is like, right, we gotta, because there was some like Daxamite technology, which is kind of why he can now like cloak and everything. So the problem is, initially Zor-El wants to like save the robot, but it's like save Oscar, but it can't, because everything like the clue and technology. Because I thought it was interesting, because the moment you heard Brady being like, whoa, it was from clue and stuff, and it's like, I was like wondering whether that was kind of playing into his insecurities, or was it just because he's like, you can't trust a lot of stuff from my planet. Like that could definitely go sideways. Even John was like, a lot of alien technology is here on this Earth. It is a melting pot, which I never really thought about that before. I mean, obviously, like, the U.S. in particular is a melting pot. A lot of the world is a melting pot in certain regards. I think the U.S. is probably one of the biggest melting pots in the world. But just like, yeah, this continuity is a melting pot, because there's just so many like different alien species in this city alone, but just the greater DC universe on this particular planet as well. But also just like not all the technologies worked in conjunction together properly. Like they could have negative effects on each other. And it seemed like Oscar was working perfectly fine until he malfunctioned. And like I said, turned into a literal garbage kaiju and starts running amok. But sadly, Zor-El is so intent on saving Earth. He was like, yeah, I could save Krypton. I meant Earth, which Alex is like, I get you want to help, but either you help us with this virus to stop all this, or you get out of the way. And he decides to help. And I love like how Brainy gets past the shielding of it. It just be like, okay, and he starts talking mad crap to the robot inside, and he's like, oh, you are, without that clue and technology, you'd be nothing. And then he grabs onto the chain that's getting sucked away, and he's like, I regret nothing. I'm like, I love you so much, Brady. I love you so much, dude. But luckily, he was able to activate the virus inside. Luckily, that was taken care of. And I even love the robot. Did you mean everything you said? He was like, every word of it. I'm like, come on, don't be a dick, Brady. But I guess it's like, right. He's like, no, you're not going to, because I guess he feels like, oh, like, no, I feel the smart guy role in this. Like, you don't need the robot, you just need me. But obviously, Zor-El kind of had his regrets about what he did. It's like, oh, you did it. She's like, no, we did. Like, together, we were able to kind of figure this out. Like, this virus would have never been possible without you. But the whole situation made, it was a really interesting conversation Kara had with her dad, where he was saying, like, he basically was putting off going to Argo City because he didn't want to confront Kara's mom, because for him, it's like, if we met, I'm glad. Like, you and your mom, like, were the thought of you guys were the only thing keeping me alive in all those years in the Phantom Zone. But then on top of that, what he was really fearing was, like, staring at her mom, because it would have been like, looking into her eyes would have reflected back at him all the mistakes, all the failures he had. Like it's like, yes, like, oh, I didn't save Krypton. She's like, but you did everything you could. And he was like, yes, but that's also the problem. I was so rash, and in my hubris to try and think like I had it all figured out, I probably escalated and made things worse. And he was like, my intent to try, make up for the fact is that I couldn't save Krypton. I figured, oh, since Earth is in the same situation, it could almost make up for the fact that I couldn't save Krypton, that I was literally about to make the same past mistakes again, which Kara's like, I understand that. Your rush to try and not make the mistakes again, you end up kind of repeating the cycle all over again. So, but I love that. He's like, I'm going to miss seeing you, but it's like, I'm proud of the person you are, the life you built for yourself, the super friends that you have around you, as Andrea kind of coined that. Oh, super friends. Yeah, like, coined that. It is kind of interesting to be like, oh, yeah, the super friends and the Justice League. Which I guess in my mind, I kind of associated them being the same thing, but I guess they are two separate teams. But I also like the thing that he said, like, it's right, you might be Kryptonian, but it's okay to be human too. And so, like I said, I like that conversation definitely led to the conversation between her and Alex. So I thought that was kind of a nice progression and step for them. But also there's the Lena and Nia conversation about moms, where it's like, right, all of them were able to break free from the God, I'm blanking on it. The Phantoms. And this episode actually kind of answers a question I never thought about. Like, well, I did think about it, because I think I brought it up, was like, we never got a conclusion for Lena's, I think. Maybe Nia's too. I don't remember. I definitely know like Nia and Lena's never had a proper conclusion. Their deal with the Phantom Zone, the Phantom specifically. But like in this, it's like, oh, like Lena's like, yeah, like I let it like consume me and it took on the form of my mom. And it's like, what do you think that means? She's like, you're the dream interpreter. But it's like, no, like this is something personal, so it's something you have to interpret. But like the way she was asking about it made it seem like she never got a proper conclusion. Like I guess it's like, it's kind of much like her dream set. She has to interpret all of that. Still dealing with the fact is that obviously she misses her mom and still processing and dealing with like, how does she move forward with all of that? And Lena, you know, it made her recognize like, right, it was about my guilt. And like, I've blamed myself the entire time. Like anytime I thought about my mom, I would go back to that blame. But she's like, right, I've always known on some level it's not my fault. And so she's decided to go back home. And it's not to Luther Manor, but where she was actually born. I guess to kind of reconnect and actually get to know her mom, because she never actually got to know her, or you know. So I think that's a pretty dope thing. But other than that, we do have the stinger at the end where it seems like Nia's had a dream about Nixley because she is here on Earth. So I haven't watched any trailers for this back half of the season, so I don't know what quite to expect. I think I brought this up like before the big break that I figured that either Nixley is going to be like a big thing for a little while and then it's just going to be Lex for the rest of it, or we're going to go back and forth, or it's going to be a combination because the two are going to work together. Either way, I'd assume probably more likely that's going to end up being the circumstances, but whatever the case may be, I'm very excited to see, you know, what this, like I said, the back half of this season looks like. We've got, I think technically 11 episodes. Yeah, 11 episodes left in the show, so, you know, I'm excited to see where this the final episodes of Supergirl takes us with all of this. But really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.